So, what is Mois? It is the management of information system people. As for the components of Mois, they consist of telecommunication, hardware, software, procedures, security, and people. The telecommunications consist of the WAN and the LAN. As for the hardware, they consist of the server and the client. As for the software, they consist of system software, databases, and application software. As for the procedures, we have the back office and the front office. As for the security, we have the server and the client. As for the people, we have the technical support. SDLC, System Development Life Cycle. It starts with analysis, then comes the design, then the implementation, testing, and evaluation. The most important characteristics of Mois is that they're accurate and reliable, cost-effective, and timely. Hi everyone, I'm Telecommunications. I'm basically the transmission of information over significant distances to communicate. I'm all about the electronic exchange of information between various partners in the business cycle. You can send information such as voice, text, data, images from one place to another using electronic media. My components are basically the LAN and the WAN. LAN, which is the local area network, is the network connecting computers and information processing capacities within a limited geographical area. As for the WAN, which is a wide area network, it is a network that exists over a large-scale geographical area. In order to connect to the internet, we use a router. A router has two ports, one for the LAN and one for the WAN. The WAN port is connected to Telecom Egypt. As for the LAN port, if I have only one PC, that PC will be directly connected to that port. If I have more than one PC, I will use a switch that has several ports to connect multiple of CPUs. Or I could even use a cascaded switch to connect even more and more switches. As for the connections, we either use copper cables or fiber optics. The fiber optic speed and distance is unlimited. As for the copper cables for the LAN connection, the maximum distance is around 100 meters, and for the WAN, it is around 2 to 3 kilometers maximum. As for the WiMAX, it is a point-to-point wireless outdoor connection between two antennas. It is very cost-effective in comparison to the copper cables. As for the Wi-Fi, it is a wireless LAN and it has a certain access point. Moving on to the Internet, it is a global information network. The Internet is a corporate information network. As for the extranet, it is a network of business partners' intranets over the Internet.
They call me hardware. I'm a collection of physical elements which comprise the computer system. Some of my components include the monitor, motherboard, CPU, RAM and ROM, hard disk drive, and the keyboard. So let's take a look at my favorite, the CPU. It is the executive manager of the computer assigned tasks by the operating system. It includes the control unit, the arithmetic logic unit, and the primary storage unit, each with a certain function. And now let's take a look at the RAM. The RAM is a read and write memory. It is volatile, though it is used as a primary memory storage medium, saving the data that you are working on using electricity. The ROM is a read-only memory, which means it can neither be erased nor edited, containing parts of the operating system and storing characters in the form of codes. We've got one more component to look at. The hard drive is slower than both, as it uses magnetic fields and works through mechanical movements. It is used as a buffer and a medium to store data. Do you want to know about the computer technology timeline? The first generation had many vacuum tubes and only one electric circuit. The second, transistors and only one vacuum tube, versus the third, integrated circuits and can accommodate around 5 million CPUs. Now, let's look at the three main types of the computer systems. First is the microcomputer, which consists of only one CPU and comes in one of four types: handheld, tablet, notebook, or desktop. The mini-computer contains from 2 up to 100 CPUs, while the mainframe contains from 101 up to 1000 CPUs. And now, we'll do some calculations. To be able to know which computer is the most suitable for the user, they have derived the benchmark, which integrates both transactions per minute and the CPUs. The benchmark states that 32 processors can execute 2.3 million transactions per minute. And thus, let's take a look at this example. We must assess the number of CPUs needed, and using the benchmark, we can easily do that. In this example, we realize that we need 10 CPUs. So who doesn't know the client-server architecture? It is a distributed application structure in computing that partitions tasks or workloads between the providers of resource and the requesters of resource. Now, looking at the design itself. First, we must identify the number of branches, the number of users per branch, such that we could set up switches and connect the switch to the router, either through wires or wireless. Then we must connect the router to Telecom Egypt through the WAN port. The Mois manager must always consider the backup, WiMAX or cables. We must then reverse the same solution on the other side, Telecom to the server. And at its core is the bandwidth, which depends on the nature of the work and the frequency and need of the users. Calculating the bandwidth of the server to Telecom depends on the sum of all bandwidths of the branches. And now, back to my favorite, the hardware solution. Clients only need one CPU. Servers, however, depend on the benchmark, which also relies on the number of clients.
Hi everyone, it's me, Software.
So, what is a software? Software is a collection of instructions that enable the user to interact with a computer, its hardware, or perform tasks. So, without a software, our computers would be useless. System software. Software used to manage the hardware. It's a multitasking environment. It opens many tasks at once, such as Word and Skype. Application software. Application software is a layer for the user. It provides services for the user himself. And now for the types of application software. ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, plans the financial resources of a company. SCM, Supply Chain Management. It collaborates between ERP and CRM. CRM, Customer Relationship Management, anything related to marketing of a company. And now for the databases. A database is a collection of organized data. Database management system, a system that allows the user to update the information on the database, such as Excel. In databases, two users cannot execute the same variable at the same time, so the solution is locking. So when one user enters the database and starts executing, the database locks until this user finishes. One of the examples is the railway example that we took in class. Examples of databases: Access, Oracle, and IBM. A client and a server. Client single user, server multi-user. They're both multitasking. And the client is single processor while the server is independent. And of course, we all know the multiprocessors and the multiprocessors. And again, we'll say it, multiprocessors more than one task operated by software, multiprocessors more than one CPU. And for multiprocessors, there are two types, one queue for all CPUs and one queue for each CPU. The old method was one queue for each CPU. Multi-user versus single user. Any microcomputer is a single user operating system, however, a single user is a multitasking operating system. Now we have an example. If we have 100 employees in a company, for the client, we will get an operating system that is single user, multitasking, and single processor. Types of real-time. An example for the soft real-time is when you are studying for an exam and opening Word and YouTube at the same time, so we can use round robin then. But with the hard real-time, the operating system will assign the task according to its priority, using priority technique, so can't use robin. As I mentioned before, in the soft real-time, round robin is an operating system algorithm. It's a technique used to manage more than one processor, dividing time equally. And for big data, tools that transfer all data of the world, Internet of Things such as sensors, the Apple Watch, GPS. So the GPS, the Global Positioning System, 32 satellites around the world sending the latitude and longitude setting where you are. The GIS, the Geographical Information System, a computerized map, so it's just about where you are according to a map. And the Navigator, it's the GIS and GPS together. So another concept is cloud computing. So nowadays we've heard a lot about the cloud. So what is a cloud? Clients rent space on the cloud and upload their documents online so they have a backup. And finally, the last two concepts of software, virtual office and virtual organization. Recently, there is an uprising trend towards these. A virtual office is a place where employees meet only for urgent meetings, and a virtual organization is where employees meet for.
Hi, I'm Procedures. Who am I, may you ask? Well, I'm a specific ordering of work activities across time and space with a beginning and an end and clearly defined inputs and outputs. I have two subcomponents: front office, which includes user services, and back office, which includes the organization. You should understand me to be able to use software. Sometimes we even need to customize software we buy for a firm based on me. Now, procedures, well, me, can be visualized by a flowchart. So what is a flowchart? A flowchart is a type of diagram that represents an algorithm, workflow, or process, showing the steps as boxes of various kinds and their order by connecting them with arrows. This diagrammatic representation illustrates a solution model to a given problem.
This is Security here. I will be talking to you about what I do for your computer system and your network. My job is to keep them safe, meaning that I'm keeping all your information safe as well. I'm very important, especially when it comes to financial institutions. I'm an invaluable asset. There are different types of threats that I'm faced with every day. Let me tell you what they are. Firstly, there are viruses. A virus is a program that once inserted into another program or your system can spread destructive routines. This can lead to the destruction of the information stored in your memory, your hard disks, and other storage devices. There are other types of viruses, which are the Trojan horses, viruses that hide themselves by pretending to be used for programs or files, and worms. Other threats include hacking, and there are a lot of hackers nowadays that gain unauthorized access to a computer network for profit, criminal act, or personal pleasure. People can use ICT tools for personal use at work and during working hours without authorization. Can you believe it? And then there's piracy. I just hate that one. Just please don't resort to cyber theft. Of course, there are scams, but I don't want to open up that can of worms. I use different techniques to keep your system secure. The one thing that it can do to help me out is to install antivirus programs, which are efficient in preventing viruses from destroying your information. I also have a very strong firewall, which is a network security software that can be either hardware or software based. It controls the incoming and outgoing network traffic based on a set of rules. It acts as a barrier between a trusted network and other untrusted networks. It also allows different branches of the company to access the internet without hackers accessing the internet. Well, I think that's almost all of it. I just want you to understand that I'm an essential component of your ICT solution and that you should never forget about ethics associated to me.
Now, to top it all off, I'd like to introduce you to our mastermind, people. Hello there, I'm the mastermind, the people's component. One of my roles is HR, which is human resources. Human resources is the management of an organization's workforce. It is responsible for the attraction, selection, training, assessment, and rewarding of employees. After employees are selected, they are then allocated to their correct place in the organizational structure. Speaking of the organizational structure, it consists of activities such as task allocation, coordination, and supervision, which are directed towards the achievement of organizational aims. Then comes the role of the balanced scorecard. Is a strategic planning and management system that is used extensively in business to align business activities to the vision and strategy of the organization, improve internal and external communications, and monitor organizational performance against strategic goals. So in order to measure if the organization is progressing towards its organizational goals, we use KPIs or key performance indicators. Once an organization has analyzed its mission, identified all its stakeholders, and defined its goals, it needs a way to measure progress towards those goals. Key performance indicators are those measurements.